Hello and welcome to Homer for Wednesday, November 12th, 2025. Today we are going to be reading from lines 125 to 135 in Book 13 of the Iliad. This is going to be a great passage in which we talk about battle formations. Thank you so much for being here with me today, and let's get right into it. Thus did the earth enfolder arouse the Achaeans with his urgings, and round about the two Iantes stood their battalions, so strong in might that neither Ares might have entered in and made light of them, nor yet Athene, the rouser of armies. For they, who were the chosen bravest, awaited the Trojans and noble Hector, fencing spear with spear, and shield with serried shield, shield pressed upon shield, helmet on helmet, and man on man. And the horsehair crests on the bright helmet ridges touched each other as the men moved their heads, and such close array stood they by one another. And spears in bold hands overlapped each other as they were brandished, and their minds swerved not, but they were eager to fight. Great, let's do it in the Greek. Os bakalaution gaia okosor senekaius, ampirarai antestoiusistan profalanges, arteraia sutan kenares sonosai tometelton, utekate naie lauosos oigararistoi, Indentes roastagai coradionamimnon, fraxantes torudoris acosacei prothalum noi. Aspissara rasperere corus coruna neraner, Usawon hippocomoi corus deslam rois, Usawon hippocomoi corus deslam roisi paloisi. Now on hospuk noia festasan alleloisin, enque adeptuson proseiauon apoceron, sei hominoidistus proneon memasande macestai. Alright, great. I think some like weird stuff is going on with the sort of repetition here. If I were to argue, so the repetition in line 130, fraxantes torudoris acosacei patalumnoi aspis daraspirere chorus corun aner daner. If I were to argue on behalf of this passage being spurious, which some scholars do, because of the fact that it describes like a battle formation that seems a little foreign, and it has like a lot of looped upon, right? So the sort of repetition of certain syllables. I would say that these repetitions, these 5 repetitions of 2 different things, spear on spear, shield on shield, shield on shield again, and then head on head and man on man. I would say that these sort of repetitions are, I don't know, it just feels a little unnatural under the Homeric tongue, so to speak. I don't think there's anything wrong with the image. I actually think the image is pretty great, right? The image is great because of the fact that, in describing the centrality and the closeness of the combatants here, the Achaeans who are rallying, and describing the fact that they're so tightly wound up, he also manages to do so through the words themselves, not just describing, the gods can't see in, they're very close together, these, the phalanxes are forming up. No, they're so close that we're running out of things to describe them with. So we end up repeating shield. We talk about every part of their armor in order to say, they're so close together. And some scholars are like, just because you're that close together doesn't mean that, your helmet ridges are going to be touching one another. I mean, that's really close. The helmet ridge is like up here, right? You can buy a, Bronze Age fighting helmet, and it's like a very tall thing. But like it's also very central on the head. It's not like on the side, you know what I mean? So the fact that like they're like swaying, I guess like closely enough to others in order to hit them. I mean, that's like, maybe that's a little stretching it. Maybe it's a bit, projection. I don't know. But I think that it's actually a really beautiful image because it really pairs well with that, that Homeric, simile of like a poppy in the morning covered in weighed down with dew. The poppy falls over. It's sort of like a metaphor for somebody dying in battle. I feel like I see almost like a field of like swaying little plants here. That's how they are working as a battle formation, very closely cropped, one might say. Right, so they festasan, so the epihistemi, right? So they're standing very, very close together in such close array, stood they by one another, right? And then I really, really like this one. Whatever it is. They're spears of the bold. spears of the bold, right? So they're not just close together because of the fact that they're afraid. They're actually close together because they're thrasos, thrasoi, eisi, right? So they're very strong and they have this courage. And what's also interesting about this courage is that this courage is so strong and they're so close together that the light of the gods cannot reach within them. So Athena and Ares could not make light of what is going on within. That is how close they are. Which is very interesting because in this sort of theistic view here, Poseidon gives them the gift, right? Of okay, we need to get all gathered up close together. But then that gift, or that word, that spell that Calchas says, the Fasti, right, is so constricting to the point where the other gods can't get in. So I feel like there's actually some sort of semiotics of interactions with the gods with the people going on here, which I think is interesting, particularly because the epithet that's given to Athena here, which is laosos, I think actually it's reduplicated, army gatherer. But the army seems to be gathered by another force, which I think puts some evolutionary aspect to how the gods compete with one another, or in the Homeric image, how their actions can adversely or versely affect heroes' lives, I guess. Anyway, I think it's really great because it describes battle formation, and battle formations are fun, and we also get to see people teaming up. And just as Hector was Kartaros in 124 from yesterday, so too are they now Kartaroi, right? So they are now strong, right? And it's good to be Kartarai, the Phalanges feminine are Kartarai, right? And that's pretty great because you got to be strong if you have to survive in battle. My question for you at the end of this Homer YouTube channel video, because it's quite cold and dark outside, is what is a point in time in your life in which you gather together with others and create a stronghold within? And do you feel of the divine answers that come into your life, that being able to create a secret together that some gods can't look into but another god does? Do you think that is formative? Do you think that this is how we move forward? Do you think that the act of secrecy, or the act of creating a group that is so close that our heads start knocking together, is important? And what was the result of when it last happened for you? Lots of questions in that one question. Anyway, that's it for today. I look forward to sharing more Homer with you tomorrow, and I really thank you for being along with me with this one. Thanks and have a great day. Bye.